Denard Robinson been running the read option since he was 11 years old. Now his coach wasn't calling the read option. Matter of fact, he probably never heard of the read option. But half the time when he would call a handoff, Denard would just fake the ball, take off running, go put it in the end zone. Even still, sometimes Denard would go ahead and hand the ball off to his partner, Adrian Whitty, who was the fastest guy on the team, Denard being the second fastest. Now he may have been able to actually outrun Adrian if not for his weird preference. He played with his shoes untied. Now I'll admit I used to play basketball with my shoes untied, and I remember vividly being cursed out by my coach for this. Didn't understand it back then, but the older I got and the heavier I got, the more support I need. I can't help but wonder if this was the case with Denard. I do have a theory that the way Denard's career ended and his unwillingness to tie his shoes tight, I think they may actually be connected, but we'll explore that theory a little bit later in the video. Today I'm gonna answer what happened to Denard Robinson. Let's get it.
Right now, stand out the window of my...
Hold up. Yeah, I kind of like that intro too.
Yeah, I'm no quitter, 'cause I'ma go get it.
Now the story behind the whole Shoelace thing is pretty well documented, but for the sake of the video, I'll go through it briefly. Denard's nickname is Shoelace. He picked it up as a kid due to the fact that he hated tying his shoe, especially while playing sports and running circles around cats. His family and coaches tried everything, including putting wristbands over his shoes, athletic tape, pulling his socks over his shoes. Nothing would really keep his shoes tight or keep them on his feet, as he'd often just run straight out of his shoes during these athletic contests. Now, when he hit high school, his coach was ready to put an end to the whole shoelace thing and change Denard's position from quarterback to defensive back. But this dude was such a phenomenal athlete and he had a pretty good arm, and his coach was like, hey man, hell with it. If it ain't broke, you know what I'm saying? Now, Denard started out playing JV quarterback. He impressed to the point where the next year, they completely threw the whole DB thing out the window and not only moved him to the varsity, but to varsity as the starting QB, a spot that he held for the rest of his high school career. As a junior in the state semifinal game, he nearly upset the #1 team in the country, and he actually had his team in position to win, but the opposing team went on a 99-yard drive in 18 seconds to win the game by 1 touchdown. Now, I know he ended up being amazing at quarterback, but bro, that secondary could have used him at DB, huh? 18 seconds? Damn. It wasn't uncommon for Denard to have 5 touchdown games, 6 touchdown games. I mean, dude was the truth. After 3 years of being the starter, he threw for nearly 5,000 yards and rushed for 1,100. Then he'd go over the track, still not tie up his cleats, and run a damn 10-4 in 100. Like, easy work. Now, Denard got plenty of scholarship offers, including one from Michigan that he turned down. Well, that offer was for him to play DB, and Denard refused. Now, Michigan later doubled back and offered him at quarterback, and bam, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now, despite not winning a starting job as a true freshman, Denard played in every game. Matter of fact, on his first snap ever, he fumbles and then takes that thing for a touchdown. Only playing limited snaps, Denard finished the year with a little over 500 yards and 7 TDs. Early on, he also ran track and was described as his track coach as one of the 4 or 5 best guys in the conference. After track season, Denard immediately shifted into becoming the best quarterback he could become. And his hard work paid off, as just like in high school, going into his second year, he was named the starter, a position that he would hold for the duration of his college career. Dude took the job and ran with it, breaking the NCAA rushing record for quarterbacks with 1,700 yards, while also passing for 2,500 yards, making him the first player in NCAA history to throw for 1,500 yards and rush for 1,500 yards in the same season. He broke Drew Brees' record for total offense in the conference, won Big Ten Player of the Year, and finished 6th in the Heisman voting. After that, it was nowhere to go but up. This was gonna be Denard's year. Only one issue: his coach, who was one of the few people who believed in him to play D1 quarterback and whose spread offense system Denard had thrived in, that coach was fired. So Rich Rodriguez was out and Brady Hoke was in. Now, based on that, it was speculated that Denard would transfer, but he decided to stay. The issue was Brady Hoke ran more of a pro-style offense, which didn't exactly suit Denard's strengths. Denard's numbers suffered in the system. He passed for less yards, ran for less yards, and threw more interceptions. At the same time, he did score a few more touchdowns, and the team went from 7-6 to 11-2, with Brady Hoke winning Coach of the Year. So individually worse, but the team was much better. Either way, it hurt his draft stock. Unfortunately for Denard, things would get worse in 2012. The team would regress a bit and have less success than they did the year before, and Denard, who was already on a slide, would have even less success than he did the year before. Now, he had some really good games, but threw for less than 2,000 yards for the first time since becoming a starter. The one thing that was consistent though is he once again ran for over 1,000 yards, proving that he's an amazing athlete and did belong in the NFL. The question was, at what position? Now, when Denard left Michigan, he had a bunch of honors and records, but one of the things that really cemented his status, old heads know where I'm going with this. He was on the cover of the final edition of the NCAA football video game franchise. He beat out Eddie Lacy, Ryan Swope, Tyler Eifert, and Jarvis Jones to become the cover athlete, getting votes from people like Michael Phelps and Snoop Dogg. Denard attended the Senior Bowl at wide receiver, but his performance wasn't great, and once again, it hurt his draft stock. Now, obviously, he never played the position before, and he also didn't have elite size at 6 feet tall. Either way, of course, he had to be evaluated just like any other receiver, and scouts came away unimpressed. He also wasn't invited to the combine as a quarterback, but a wide receiver instead. He ran a 4.43, which was good. He looked good in the gauntlet drill, but it just wasn't enough to get him drafted in the first 4 rounds. Instead, he fell to the 5th and was picked up by the Jaguars as an offensive weapon, a cat that was going to come in and play running back, wide receiver, kick return, and wildcat quarterback. Now, after a less than impressive rookie campaign, Denard bulked up and added 15 pounds to his frame to help him take punishment at the running back position. A move like this was meant to extend his career. I actually think it backfired though and may have shortened his career. I'll explain in a second. After Toby Gerhart, who was the starting running back for the Jags at the time, got injured, Denard got his first start in week 7 of the 2014 season. How'd he do? Dude was phenomenal. 22 carries for 127 yards and a touchdown, which led the Jags to their first win since the previous season, okay? Then the next week, he did it again. Week after that, he did it again. Obviously, this dude has the talent and the ability to play at this level. 3 100-yard rushing weeks in a row. I mean, that is not a fluke. Now, here's where my little theory comes into play. My theory is that the weight gain may have actually hurt him more than it helped. Why do I say that? Well, right after finding his stride, Denard suffered an injury that a lighter, younger Denard probably couldn't even fathom. A foot sprain. This foot sprain ended his season and took with it all of his momentum. Now, would a tightly tied shoe have prevented or at least reduced the severity of this injury? Maybe, maybe not. Of course, I can't be sure. I can only speculate. But having untied or loosely tied shoes have to contribute due to the fact that there's just less support down there. You take that and you add another 15 pounds of weight, and that's more stress every single time you plant and cut, which is pretty much all a running back does. So the combination of those two things, the added weight and the untied shoes, would have likely played at least a small role in this injury. And it really sucks, bro, because like I said, dude was just finding his stride. Either way, at that point, his season was over. Now, the next season, week 2, Denard strains his knee. And he only missed a few games, but he never seemed like he could get that 2014 form back again. Now, again, the 15 pounds may seem a little insignificant, but as a guy who's weighed 225 pounds as a full-grown, healthy adult, and a guy who's weighed 240 pounds as a full-grown, healthy adult, it makes a difference, trust me. I mean, the knick-knack, stupid injuries that I've gotten while just, doing something simple, playing basketball, maybe I just come down wrong. Those random injuries definitely happen more often when I was heavier versus when I'm lighter. And look at this, Denard only missed 2 games due to injury during his entire Michigan career. He never had any serious injuries in high school or any time before that. And one of the main things that changed was the weight gain. Now, of course, one of the easiest conclusions to come to is the move to the running back position itself, which of course takes much more of a physical toll on the body, especially when you aren't really built for it and haven't been playing that position your whole life. Not to mention you're moving up to the NFL, guys are bigger, faster, stronger. These are facts. And of course, that was the whole reason he put the weight on in the first place. But the only thing I'm saying is when you look at the nature of the injury, we're not talking a broken collarbone, concussion, or bruised sternum. We're talking a foot sprain, which is a non-contact injury. Well, maybe contact with the ground, but you know what I'm saying. So that's what makes me think it could have actually been more due to the fact that he gained that weight. Anyway, let me know what y'all think about that in the comments section. Unfortunately for Denard, his career wasn't the only thing that was sinking. At one point in 2016, Denard was driving late at night when he fell asleep behind the wheel. His car ran off the road and into a shallow pond. Denard was apparently so tired that when he hit the pond, he still didn't wake up. Matter of fact, he didn't wake up till the next day when a police officer came and knocked on the window. And even then, it took him a minute to wake Denard up, explain to him that he was in a pond and not on the street, and get him out of the vehicle. Now, the cops said and reported that Denard was not impaired, just tired, and should not be charged with a DUI. Okay. Cool, moving on. Now, the following year, Denard attended a few mini camps with the Jets, one with the Bears, but wasn't able to make a roster. Currently, he's a free agent. Denard Robinson played 4 seasons in the league and unfortunately didn't make it to his second contract, at least not as of yet. It's one of those scenarios that makes me think maybe his pro career would have gone a little bit differently if he switched positions earlier. Of course, hindsight is 20/20, and he was an amazing college quarterback, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't change that even if he could. Either way, Denard's only 27 years old. He's only had 2 real injuries and could realistically have a lot of football left in him. Maybe not in the NFL, but with the XFL and the AAFL starting up pretty soon, who knows, maybe he pops up on one of those rosters. I, for one, would be down to watch Denard Robinson play quarterback once again. Until then, I choose to remember Denard for all of his best moments and for being on the cover of one of my favorite games of all time. Dude is an absolute legend and should be respected as such. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. My name is FlemLo Raps. I'ma holler at you next time. Peace.
Yeah.